All of you believe that Brahman exists, right? You believe. You believe, pakka. No confusion. Somebody comes and asks, tell me, how do you know Brahman exists? What you will tell? I'm in Maunam today. Don't ask any questions. That's what you will tell. Brahman exists. Asti iti eke, na asti iti chaike. This is the confusion in the world. That's what Nachiketa went and asked Yama. Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye. Asti iti eke, nayam asti iti chaike. After dying, everybody is confused. Some say asti iti, and some says na asti iti. Some say yes, it exists. Others say it doesn't exist. So please teach me about that. Don't teach me anything else. Please teach me about whether it really exists or it does not exist. Kindly tell me. It means he is asking about Brahman only. Because he already knows about the heavens by then. He knows his father wanted to go to heaven, so he was performing a yajna. And by then Yama had already taught him Nachiketa Agni. Performing it thrice, Tri Nachiketa, somebody who becomes Tri Nachiketa, will go to heaven. So that concept was over. Now the bigger concept was whether that exists or not. What? That exists or not, people are confused. Therefore, please teach me about that. Tad vidya anushishtaha. Teach me that. That is my third. I don't want anything else. So the biggest confusion on earth right now is that whether it exists or not exists. Now you are blindly following. Why? Because you have some faith in Guru Vakya. That Guru says, and even if our Guru does not know, at least so many scriptures are there which say that it does exist. But there are so many more scriptures which also say it does not exist. For example, Shunyavadis are there. They don't believe it exists. Shunyamidam, Shunyamadam, Shunyat, Shunyam udachyate there. Shunyasya Shunyamadaya, Shunyameva vashishyate. Finally, what remains is one Shunnam only. That is what is remained. That is some people's faith is there. Many people associate Buddhism with Shunyavadis. Even in India, we have various philosophies. One is this Shunya philosophy is also there. They will not accept that Brahman exists. They don't believe Brahman exists. Then you have Vishishta Advaita, which says, Brahman, yes, I believe it exists, Brahman exists, but then I also know that the world exists. You see, because that is how it is. Vishesha, the word itself came because the world is a Vishesha Rupa of Brahman only, we believe, but this also exists, just as that exists. And the Dvaita people say, that does not exist at all. My God exists and I exist. And beyond that, I don't believe anything without form and name exists. That is not my lookout. My lookout is my God only is that, whatever it is. And beyond that, nothing else is. So if so many people believe so many things, and then there are those atheists who believe that it does not exist at all. So there are some theists like Buddhists who believe nothing exists. Last is nirvana, after that nothing exists. Then there are Dvaitis who say that I don't believe it exists as Brahman, but I believe it exists as Vishnu or Shiva or whichever form they are the highest, and that's about it. And I am a devotee. If I worship that God, I will reach the Paramapadam, I will reach whatever place, Kailasha, I will reach Vishnu Padam. They will have this kind of thoughts. Then Vishishta Advaitins say that, yes, I believe Brahman exists, but then I also believe that he exists in all these forms, and therefore all these forms should be worshipped. And then Advaita say nothing exists other than Brahman. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. And Jiva is Brahma only. So whom do you worship? How do you worship? There is nothing there to worship. So Advaitins, they are very clear. In fact, Vedanta Kesari, the word comes in Upanishad, which means that all the Advaitins are like, Vedantins are like Kesaris, like lion. So when they roar, all the jackals of other philosophies run for their lives. That's what it means. But people may or may not believe that Brahman exists, because if they exist, then prove it to us. Because anything that exists must be proven that it exists. But Brahman is one thing that we cannot prove that it exists, because there is no way you can explain it. So we have a terms and conditions before itself, disclaimer. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasa. Don't ask me beyond this. I am already telling you it cannot be described in words, it cannot be understood by the mind. Na medaya na bahuna shritena. No way you can know it by your mind. No way you can know it by listening to it. So then the other person will say, then why do I believe? Why should I believe that it exists at all? This is $1 million question, to be or not to be question. Is it or it is not, is the question. And most of the people in the world don't believe that it exists. That's why there is no way they can attain it. When you don't believe something exists, how do you attain it? If you know Mount Everest exists only, you will have a desire to go and see Mount Everest or climb Mount Everest, something like that. If you don't believe it exists, now where is the question of you putting any effort at all to realize it? There is no effort put then. That's why he was telling that between the people who believe, asti iti, those who believe, what happens? That tattva, bhava, pasidati becomes happy. Oh, you know that I exist, I'm happy. At least somebody knows that I exist here. The whole purpose of creation was that somebody should know that I exist. That is what happened. The first Aitareya Upanishad says, first reason why he created anything else other than him was because he was so terribly upset that nobody knows that he is. Somebody should know that he exists. And from that feeling he created the universe, they say. And look at this plight of this Brahman. After having created everything, finally there are people who believe he doesn't exist. What a sad story of Brahman. He did everything to make sure that people come to know that he exists. And that's precisely what people don't want to believe, that he exists. So if some people in some village, Mudanhalli, in some small ashram, Satyasai Grama, in a small hall like this, if they believe asti iti, I believe it exists, Brahman becomes very happy. Finally, there are people who think that I exist. Otherwise, so many people in the world, almost 7.5 billion, so many people don't believe I exist. And some people believe I exist, but exist in a special way in the form of the whole universe. Some people believe that I don't exist, other things exist. Some people that only Shunyam exists. So all kinds of, some people don't believe at all anything. Atheists there. So what should I do to know that it exists is the whole question. Now I believe that Brahman exists. How? I don't know anything, but I believe because my Guru told. I believe because the Shastras are telling. That's all. I don't have any other further knowledge beyond this. I know that Shastras saying it is there. And my Guru says it is there. Beyond that I have no idea. So that is why Shraddha becomes such an important pillar, cornerstone, the very foundation of the spiritual growth. Shraddha in the Guru Vakya, Shraddha in the Shastra, Pramana becomes the most important aspect of progressing on this path of Brahman. So now at least you should pat yourself that whatever said and done, at least you are in that category who says asti iti. Yes, it exists. And again, Yama calls people who don't believe this as Balam. Says, na samparaya pratibhati Balam. For these kids, I don't come and I don't show my true self to the kids, he says. Bachas, spiritual kids. I won't reveal. Why? Because they are busy in their small silly games. What games? They are always full of desires of the world, vitta chittam. All the time thinking of money, wealth, people, relationships. And their minds are there. And pramadite, they go into all wrong ways and suffer. Because their minds are always into all these worldly things. Mudham, they are all fools. And to such people, na samparaya. I will not reveal. Truth will not be revealed to such people. Pratibhati, it won't reveal. Whom? Balam. For these kids who have no maturity to understand that Brahman exists, who don't even have faith in Guru's word, who don't even have faith in the scriptures, They just go by whatever has been taught in their textbooks and simply believe that nothing like that exists. So for such people, what is the way? He says, Ayam loko nasti para iti mani. The one who believes that it does not exist, para, does not exist, mani, I believe, punah punah Ashamapadyate me, they come again and again under my control. I catch them because they don't believe. So they are continuously coming under my control. I catch hold of them. That is the fate of those who don't believe. Whereas those who believe, look at what happens to them. Just by believing Asti Iti, it exists, Brahman becomes so happy. Oh, there is someone who at least believes that I am here. I created you. I wanted you to at least know that I created you. And you are here, don't even believe that I have created you. So please, Brahman is pleased, so pleased when people believe that he exists. Look at his heart or Brahman's consciousness, whichever way you want to look at it. That Brahman created everything because he wanted to be known by people, by everyone, that he exists. And the biggest problem of the modern day world is some people that doesn't exist. That's why Narada says, everybody says, don't nashravanyam, don't listen to whom? Don't listen about things are atheist. These nastikas, don't go into their company, even Narada wants. Because your mind will change. Your mind will change. Stri, dhana, nastikam. These three things you should not go and listen about. Stri means basically worldly desires. It could be one of the two, man for woman, woman for man. Don't pay attention to such gossips. Dhana, about money don't pay attention to, because then people say, I bought a bigger car, I am going to have a bigger house, I have got a bigger job promotion, my salary has been increased, I am receiving bonus. No, some of the tapasvis will start shaking. Oh, if at all, maybe I could have done that and there is enough of life left, I could have come back after retirement. That kind of thinking will start. And Nastikas, so you don't even go near them, because with their kutarka, their wrong logic, they will bother you and trouble you, because they will say, you just prove, scientifically you prove that Brahman exists. You are only saying neti, 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 neti. That is not science. Is this Brahman? You said no. Is that Brahman? You said no. Is this how Brahman is? No. Is that how Brahman is? No. So how is Brahman? I cannot describe. Then you are no good. Then you are no good. We don't believe in your Brahman business, because you don't have any way to prove it. So such people we should stay away from is the advice. Durjana there, Tyaja Durjana Sansargam. Run away from them, because they will spoil your mind. They will spoil your faith. They will destroy your Shraddha. Today somebody sent me a message, a parent, saying, Swami, my son has lost faith in you and he's going into the wrong ways. I'm so worried. I never thought he's your student. He lived so many years with you and suddenly he has lost faith in everything. I'm so worried. What happened? Why did he lose faith? Why did he lose faith? Because he is in the company of the wrong people first. Obviously, he is in company of those who would have said things about Sai Baba or questioned some of his divinity or anything. And this fellow has... That is why Narada, Stri, Dhana, Nastika. Don't listen to these three things. Don't listen about these three things, and don't engage with people who only talk about these things. Because the moment you go there, you will also become a Nasti. From Asti iti, Nasti iti, Nastika. You will become from Astika. That's why the danger of Brahman is that, see, Vedanta's danger is this. Because it does not have a proof, unlike other things like Rama might have a historical record, or Krishna might be believed to have a historical record, or some Puranas, so many temples, at least you know how does Krishna is. Oh, is with the flute and the feather and a cow and things like that. Rama is with the Dhanushbanam, and then he has everything. So you can explain something. How is Brahman? You can't explain. Look at the problem of the Vedanta. To an ordinary mind, you cannot explain. Whom you cannot explain? To Balam, you cannot explain. To kids, you cannot explain. Sun rises in the east and sets in the west. That's all they can understand. Sun does not rise and set. Cannot understand. Because their minds are so puny. They are so immature minds. They are undeveloped, unevolved minds. So stay away from such people who will argue with you in this way. That if it exists, that please show me, prove to me, how does it exist? Because if anything exists, it should be known, it should be seen. So somebody was arguing. Does it exist? Does it exist? I told you, there is logic. Of course, Vedanta also has tremendous logic in it. So there are 5 logics to prove that Brahman exists, it seems. This is why Vidyaranya, he has 5 logics that Brahman exists. It's very interesting. The first thing he says that it is something, if I see an object, obviously I am the seer, it's outside me. So Drik Drishya Viveka, it tells. Outside me, right? Because that's how I can see that. I am not the object, obviously, because I am seeing it. So when I am seeing the body, I am not the body, it's obvious. No, you are the eye which sees, it says. But when I close my eye also, I see things, my imagination and mind. So there is something else which is seeing. So it goes on behind like that, Rupam, Drishyam, Lochanam. The world is the seen, then the eyes are the seer. Tad Drishyam, when eyes become the object of seeing, then Mana Trik. Drugevatu Manas. That mind becomes the seer. Because even mind sees through the eyes, that's what. Because eyes can become weak, strong, but something else is seeing through the eyes. So Mana. Then what of Drishya Dhivrittasya, if becomes Dhrivritti, the mind's vagaries become the seen, the objects to be seen. Because somebody is observing the change in the mind. You have observed your mind, right? That it is becoming angry, it is running around, it is stable. So you have observed your mind. The mind's vagaries, somebody is watching. Who is that Sakshi? Who is the Sakshi for that? There is some witness who is watching all this. That cannot be seen. Again, you are back to square one. It cannot be seen, then how do you know it exists? Because you cannot see your eyes. But how do you know your eyes exist? By seeing everything, you know your eyes exist, right? Can you see your eyes? You cannot see your eyes yourself. But because how do you know your eyes exist? Because I can see the table, I can see the mic, I can see the curtain, I can see all of you. And I know that this is possible only if I have eyes. If I did not have eyes, I could not have seen all these things. Therefore, because I have the eyes, that's why I see everything. If I did not have eyes in the first place, I couldn't have seen anything. So they say because of Brahman, we see everything. And how do we know Brahman exists? Because of Brahman we see everything. He is the Sakshi. If he was not there, I would not have understood anything. It is his consciousness, Brahman's consciousness that makes me see, understand, do everything that I need to do. That's what Shrotriyasya Shrotram, Manaso Manoyaha, Vachasya Vacham, Sau Pranasya Prana, Chakshuscha Chakshu. All these are behind everything, there is something. That logic is applied saying that because I see something, because I have eyes. I don't see my eyes with my own eyes. So does it mean my eyes don't exist? Suppose I don't have a mirror. Mirror is a reflection. But if I have to see my eyes on my own, I cannot see. So if I have to see my eyes, if I know that I have eyes, the only way I know is that I am seeing you. And I am seeing you because I have eyes. If I didn't have eyes, I couldn't have seen you. If I didn't know, if Brahman was not there, I couldn't have known you. I couldn't have seen you. I couldn't have felt you. I couldn't have experienced you. Because beyond all my faculties, there is a Sakshi who witnesses this. The same logic in Jagrutavastha, Swapnavastha, Sushupti, and beyond that is Turiya. There is a state that exists. When we are in deep sleep, we have no idea of our body, but still our life forces are on, something is controlling them, something is happening. People will call it nature. But nature is not capable of this kind of discrimination and analysis. To wake up and say this was a dream, this was not a reality. This nature is not capable. They'll say, no, your brain knows. Brain knows nothing. Brain is only an organ, a machine. There is a consciousness behind this. So they say this is the consciousness because of which I see everything. That's why it exists. You cannot refute that I don't have eyes, because through these eyes I see you. That is a Drigdrishya Viveka, Panchadash, Vidyaranya's logic in that, saying that how do I know Brahman exists? Because it is because of Brahman that I am experiencing everything else. If the Brahman was not this, like the current switched off, all lights, fans, everything will come to a still. That's how I know that Brahman exists, he says. It also beautifully explains in his Bhagavad. He said that it will be a shame if you go out and shout aloud, no, I don't have a tongue. Can you say that I don't have a tongue? Because the tongue only you are speaking, he says. How could you say that you don't have a tongue? You are foolish. You have tongue, that is why you can even say it aloud that you don't have a tongue. So it's as foolish as that, he says. To say Brahman does not exist is like Brahman only is telling Brahman does not exist. That's how it will become for such a person. So the knowledge with which you know everything is Brahman. Then he also explained there is some viditva, avidit. Means something which is known and something in the world which don't know. Something we know which we have learned from our childhood, it is seen, we have heard about it, we have learnt about it. Then there are things which we have not seen in the world, like we have not seen, let's say, another country, another thing, it is beyond our knowledge. So in this world there are some things which are known to us, there is something which are unknown to us. Then who is us? Neither I am the known nor I am the unknown. I am the knower of it. This knower is Brahman, he says. The knower of everything is Brahman. Because all things in the world, including your body, mind, your experiences, emotions, your desires, means Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, even Anandamaya can be considered as known. I am experiencing bliss. So I am knowing. So who is that experiencing that bliss is the question. So there is somebody who is the knower of this whole thing. So that knower is Brahman. Again it goes. Says that knower must be Brahman because I am calling it Brahman. You call by whatever name. But I believe some entity exists beyond all our knowledge. That is Brahman, again he explains. Then he also gives another logic. He says, like sugar is there. You have to, if you want to make something sweet, you have to add sugar. How do you make sugar sweet? Do you have to add sugar to sugar? Is the logic. He says, can I add sugar to make it sweet? No, sugar is sweet by its nature. Sugar is sweet by its own nature. That is how Brahman is Svaprakashaha. He is illumined by his own nature, like sun, which is illumined by his own energy. He doesn't need somebody else to switch him on and off. There is no other energy. He is a Svaprakasha, Swayambhu. He doesn't need any support. He is the support for everyone without any support himself. He is Svaprakasha. That is why, again, Tameva Bhantam Sarvamidam Vibhati. All this is shining because of its shine, because its light. Tasya Bhasa. Sarvamidam Vibhati. It says, because the way its light is what is making us see everything. So that is Brahman, again he describes. That is Brahman, because of it we get to see everything. And then he also says, very, very funny logic, he says, if you have to have arguments, suppose you are an atheist, you are arguing Brahman does not exist. I say Brahman alone exists. What is Vedantic saying? Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman alone exists. And you are saying Brahman does not exist. So for me, you don't exist. I don't have to argue with you. Go. Final logic. Brahman does not exist means you don't exist. If you don't exist, why should I argue with you? You are a non-existent entity. So I don't have to argue with you. Go. So somebody who comes and talks, you explain to them this Shraddhavan. Hey, Brahman exists or not? Yes, he exists. Why? Because he is the Sakshi, which sees everything. Like the eye sees everything, but eye cannot see its own self. That is the nature of Brahman. He exists. How do I know he exists? Because of him, everything is seen. Svaprakasha it is. It doesn't need anybody else's support. That is the nature of Brahman. By nature it is sweet. You don't have to add sweet to sugar to make it sweeter. It doesn't work. You cannot add salt to salt. Salt by nature is salty. Sweet by nature is sweet. So Brahman by nature is Svaprakasha. It doesn't need anybody else to help him. He is completely independent of everything. But everything else is dependent on this Brahman, he says. Then he says that still that fellow is not convinced, your atheist friend, No. Or even a Vishishta Dvaitik or Dvaitik friend is not convinced. He says, you are talking as if you are telling that my tongue does not exist. That's how your logic is. My Brahman is existing because he is the one due to which everything else is being experienced. There is no one known things and there are unknown things. And the knower of this is Brahman. Because everything in the world can be put in the known. My hand, this is Annamaya Kosha. My body is Annamaya Kosha. Now I want to, let's say, get up. How do I get up? The energy is Pranamaya Kosha. That is doing that. This idea, I want to get up, is Manomaya Kosha. The knowledge that I am getting up now, I am walking, Vijnanamaya Kosha. And by getting up, I have become happy. Let us say, I was sitting for too long, my back was aching, I got up, I feel better. Anandamaya Kosha. Beyond that is Brahman, they saying. Who is that experiencing all these things? That this is my body. Who decides I must get up? Who makes the prana function and makes the body move? Who is aware? Who has the knowledge that actually my body is getting up and walking now? And finally, who is experiencing the happiness of having got up after a maha boring satsang? Abba, when we got up and out. Who is experiencing all this? For in our case, after when you get up from your home and come to satsang, there is ananda. Many places, if there your friend Nastik is there, he will be happy to get up and go from here. That will be his ananda. But all these 5 questions are experienced by somebody else. So that knower of everything known and unknown is Brahman. Still your fellow is not convinced. He is going on arguing. He says, fine, you don't believe Brahman exists, you don't exist, I don't want to argue. That's the end of this argument. You can help people with logic. At the end of it, if they don't have Shraddha, they will not get it. So you should actually thank your fortunes that you have believed that it exists. In fact, it alone exists. Everything exists in Brahman. When somebody asks me, Swami, God is in me or I am in God? I said, you are God. Everything is God. It means God is in God. You and God is not there. God is in God. Whichever way you think. God is in me, I am in God. No, God is in God. Water is in water. Water is in wave, you are asking me. Wave is water is what I am saying. Water is not different from wave. Wood is there in this post. Post is wood. That is what I am saying. Its name and form have changed. So you don't have to think too much. If you just believe Brahman exists, then you see everything as naturally everything is Brahman. Nama Rupa Vihaya. The only distortion is Nama and Rupa. That is why I have been telling Asti Bhati Priyam Nama Rupam. Out of 5, Asti Bhati Priyam are Brahma Rupam and Nama Rupa is Jagat Rupam. These 2 attributes, the moment they come on Brahman, they superimpose Brahman, they look like other objects other than Brahman. But there is nothing other than Brahman. Water is, wave is Brahman, wave is water, the foam is water, the ocean is water, all is water. So water is the principle of Brahman. But so difficult for people to grasp this. They don't even believe God exists in any form, let us say in a Krishna or Rama. But it is, to me it is difficult also for them to believe. Because we don't have any physical proofs of Krishna's miracles. It could be a story too, like we got proof at least. So what happens, most of the other people take their historical records and start claiming that no, Jesus existed or this existed or that existed because some history is there. Our history did not keep too many dates and records. Even Upanishads have no dates and time and when it was written and how. Because as Indians, we were never interested in this periphery. We were always interested in the core, the essence, the knowledge. Not about all these things. Who did, when did, what it was done, why it was done. All this was unnecessary. What was done was important for us. And we wanted that. That is Indian thinking. They don't believe in wasting their time in unwanted, unnecessarily detailing. They straightaway went for what was the truth. And that is why it exists for them. And this philosophy is the only philosophy which has actual answers to all questions in the world. There is no other philosophy. You sit down and think for yourself. Even when Buddha was asked, do you believe Atma exists? He said, did I say it exists? So you believe that Atma does not exist. He said, did I say it does not exist? That's all he answered. But this concept, imagine, of a consciousness which permeates everything, all is floating in this sea of consciousness. Just distorted shapes and names of the same water. It is only ice, it is only bubble, it is only the wave, it is only the froth, it is only the whatever fumes, whatever is coming out, vapor. All is water. That is Vedanta. Everything is water. We don't believe in anything else that exists. But the question is that to realize this, you have to put this kind of vichara, Vedanta, Vedantartha vicharena jayate jnanam uttamam. By continuously thinking about this, vichara, jnanam uttamam, the knowledge will, the best of the knowledge will come, not ordinary knowledge. Not the knowledge of just the material world, physical sciences, biology. It will, the knowledge of everything will come to you. It's the highest of the knowledge will come to you. How do you know? Our rishis knew so much about cosmos, and in the sense all the nakshatras, and they didn't have these high-end telescopes and software systems and all kinds of technology that is available today. So how did they know? And they know everything correctly. Their representation or their way of expression might be different from the modern scientific thing. But they knew something about it. They would personify, sun is in a chariot, moon is... no, that is a personification. That's a poetic license given. But they knew that such a thing exists. The moon is this satellite and sun is there, and then all these nakshatras exist, stars exist. So that is already there, isn't it? So the idea of knowing that with which everything gets known, that is Vedantic, that Atmic. Because the rishis got to know Brahman, all the knowledge became revealed to them. It's like they got the key to the library. So the moment they got a key, they opened and they found all sections. There is a section on medicine, there is a section on physiology, there is a section on biology, there is a section on botany, everything. So they just went and accessed all that knowledge, because every knowledge was inside that knowledge of Brahman. As a Ramanujacharya or any of these acharyas, in their own meditation they have found whatever they have found. Beyond that, no. So, idea of Brahman is so elevating, is so unique to Indian philosophy, which does not exist anywhere in the world. Now people, especially theologists, have written a lot of things on Indian Brahman concept. Even psychology now is looking into this idea of consciousness. Metaphysics is coming into picture. Physics is now evolving into metaphysics. Quantum theory is talking about a unified field theory is coming. The uncertainty principle of Heisenberg, which talks about whether it can be energy or it can be matter. They cannot define. In one point of time, an electron is energy. Another point of time, it is matter. So what it is, they cannot put their finger and say it is this. So everything is slowly, this rigidity of physical world, the boundaries are slowly melting away. And there is some kind of a new idea emerging even in the field of science. That's something higher, even that is not just insentient, it is sentient, it is conscious. That idea is emerging slowly. So that is why I am saying that 25 years or 20 years down the line, all the Vedantins will be in great demand, because physics would have evolved into that kind of thinking, that there is higher consciousness. This whole energy is not a unconscious dead energy. It's conscious. Somehow it knows. It has intelligence of its own. It's able to decide for itself without any external help. It's able to modify itself without any external impetus. Something is there in this. This knows. That revelation will come to these scientists, and they will all look towards Vedanta. And they will get into the details of what is told. How did, like he said, one prana or rai, what is this energy, matter? How did they come to know? The first question should come to them is that if these don't have any dates, written 10,000, 15,000 years ago, or whichever number of years ago, how did these people know that these two exist? What told them? Is it by mere scientific observation of things, or was it more to that? How did they come to know? That is when they will finally come to know that these people have some way to connect to that highest cosmic intelligence, which knows everything, since it created everything and everything exists in it. It's like you don't know anything about your palm, like people will laugh at you. This is my palm, these are my 5 fingers. You know, because it is a part of you. So for Brahman, it is as simple as that. It is, everything is itself, therefore it knows everything. And therefore the one who comes to know about Brahman becomes supremely intelligent. Why? Because he comes to know everything. The Brahman, by becoming Brahman, he comes to know about everything that exists. So what a great motivation for school students also to know Brahman. It means they will know what is coming in the question paper, what. Yeah. But then they will also come to know that the teacher will find out that you have found out and he will change the question paper. Now, Brahman will not cheat. Brahman is for those who are, Brahmanishtha should be there, Brahma Parata. Now, this kind of, there should be honest people, pure people. You think such pure people will even have ideas like this too? Can we find out what is coming in the board question paper? They will not even get the idea because their minds have become so pure. Vishuddha Atma, Vijitendriya there. They controlled all the senses, their minds have become pure. There is no need for them to even think what is going to happen tomorrow because they are always living in the present. As and when things happen, they enjoy. Look at the kind of life that one has when one is aware of one's truth. There is nothing, nahi jnanena sadrusham. It's so beautiful that one statement, nahi jnanena sadrusham. There is nothing in the world equivalent to this jnana. How beautiful, how wonderful. But very, very important when you are in the early stage, don't get into arguments. That's why I said keep maunam. Because simply if you don't keep maunam, what will happen? Somebody will come and poke you. That, okay, you are doing this, but I am a bhakti, I am a person who loves bhakti, and Narada said, Bhakti Reva Gariyasi, there is nothing beyond bhakti. Now what is this new song of Brahman, Brahman, Brahman going on in this ashram? But I don't understand. Just don't spend time on all these things. Don't explain. Just say that ultimately it is that. Bhakti also should lead ultimately to jnana only. Everything should finally lead to jnana only. That's why Krishna should speak about it. The perfection, the culmination, the epitome, the consummation of all bhakti is wisdom, jnana. So obviously jnana only. So I am saying that I must do some Atma Vichara. Who is my Krishna? Who is my Swami? Who is my Vishnu? Or who is my Shiva? Go on asking this question. That's why our Ramana Maharshi, somebody said, am I going to, he's a Vishnu Bhakta, he says, after my death, am I going to go to Vaikuntha? He says, Ramana Maharshi says, yes, you will go to Vaikuntha. He says, am I going to meet Narayana? Yes, you are going to meet Narayana. Is he going to speak to me? Yes, he is going to speak to you. So what will he tell you? What will he tell me? He says, he'll tell you, find out who you are. At the end of it, that's how it is. Without that, nothing happens. The only way, that is why Vidwan is the one who Nama Rupad Vimuktaha. He has gotten rid of the delusion of names and forms. Of even believing that God is a name and a form. He exists in this way or that way. These kind of calculations also have gone. Therefore, that such a person alone is capable of knowing Brahman, who has gotten rid of all this duality of name and form. Those two things has to go. Like the rivers lose their name and form and become the ocean, likewise the Vidwan loses the delusion of name and form and reaches the Paramapaiti, Paramadivyam, that ultimate he will reach only then, otherwise not. So therefore, you have to be very, very sharp and also be very alert. Don't get into any unwanted logic and don't get into meeting people who don't believe in this idea, and don't argue with them first. And suppose they are sincere, you want to explain, then some logic you can give. But they are only so much. It is only pointer, it is not the experience. Ultimately, you have to leave it to them, saying that only by experiencing that you will know that. How do you experience that? First, you believe that it exists. To know that, you have to purify your mind. It means you have to free your mind of all your thoughts and desires. And then what? Then you have to do Atma Vichara. That Brahman exists, and you tell yourself. So right now, you people are doing some japa. I'm sure some of you are already feeling some kind of happiness on its own. It doesn't need, that is there. Brahman has that happiness in itself because it is Satchidananda. So you're thinking of something which has Ananda in it as a basic ingredient. So obviously some experience of it is coming, some happiness, some joy is coming. Somebody said, I'm feeling happy. Obviously, because Brahman is happy with you. And he is expressing that as his inner joy within you. I am happy. I am happy that you know that I am here, first of all. Secondly, you are putting efforts to see me. You are not just sitting quietly wherever you are, intellectually knowing, yes, Brahman exists. You actually want to see me. You want to actually meet me. You want to actually be with me. I am so happy that Brahman is so happy because you are putting that sincere effort. And that happiness is showing up in your day-to-day life's happiness. Your general temperament, will become a happier one. Generally, you will be joyful and happy because it's expressing itself from inside. It's slowly opening itself up to you. So that is a great news. That is a great experience. And nobody needs to tell you, because just like how much you have eaten, whether your stomach is full or not, you alone know. Like that, whether this sadhana is leading you anywhere or not, you alone know how. Because from inside, that fountain of joy, that Brahman is slowly, it is emerging. And your general day is happier, you're lighter, you feel more relaxed, you feel more calm, you're able to think better if you have to think for your work. You're not reacting to anything. You're able to allow things to let pass and not getting entangled in all those things. You're becoming slowly a witness to everything that happens around you. And that you're definitely feeling free than before, more free than before. All these are lakshanas, that it is progressing. And if you are experiencing, many people said, Swami, in 1 week I have been listening, my food habits have changed. I don't feel like eating spicy food. I don't feel like, I told, do whatever, don't get me in trouble with your wife now. That's all you do. She shouldn't say, what have you done to my husband? I said, that is your personal risk. But you go on, we pray to Brahman only, so that Brahman in your wife will take care that she doesn't get upset with you. So people are changing. They are telling me, around the world they are telling me. Even though you people are quite advanced, but in the sense you have got all these discourses every day, and your practice started much before, but there are people who started later, as and when the discourses became available. But with great Shraddha, they are listening to these discourses and trying to practice whatever they can practice. See, that is a wonderful thing. Around the world, the level of consciousness is rising. From just thinking we are body, or even thinking I am a bhakta, and there is Bhagwan, and intellectually knowing that Satya Sai Baba is Brahman incarnate, to rising to experience Satya Sai Baba as Brahman incarnate. Not is Brahman incarnate, as Brahman incarnate. There, the change has begun. And that is important, because otherwise, why should I get a message in the morning that some student loses faith in Swami? Means what? On what was his faith based? His faith was based on this Nama Rupa only, no? That is why it is shaking. His faith was based on all the external activities. That is why it's shaking. Or even people say, Satya Sai Baba built hospitals, schools, and did so many projects. Then somebody else will do more than this possible. All these are physical aspects only. So on physical criteria, if you base your faith in whichever God or Guru or even Satya Sai Baba, it is prone to this kind of shaking. It's possible. It's possible that someday some other logic or some other activity, something else will come and start shaking your ideas and beliefs. The only way it will be unshakable, it will be steady forever, is when you realize Brahman and you know that Satya Sai Baba is Brahman only. In fact, it's our great fortune that somebody who knows Brahman, who is Brahman, who lives Brahman, breathes Brahman, walks, talks, sleeps Brahman, is known to us as Satya Sai. That concept of Satya Sai will completely 180 degree, you will turn this way. Because all the time Rupa Nama, you're looking that side, suddenly you will turn this way. And you will realize, oh, this is more that. I was looking only in the mirror, the reflection of Satya Sai. But to turn this way, this is the original Satya Sai. Who? The Brahman. He is that. So we sing Brahma Sarupa, Brahmanda Nayak, all that is fine. But most of the people's faiths are only going there, and stopping there. Still there is more height to cover. The view is far better over there. This is not all of it. Should feel like that, disappointed. I just stopped here. So those who got stuck in the Namarupa, they got caught in the lower floors only. They could never reach the topmost to know what it is truly. Whereas those who knew Brahman, those who knew the truth of Satya Sai, for them, how can you shake them? How can they ever lose devotion and faith in that? So it only will intensify, it will only strengthen, it will only make your yearning and devotion for Satya Sai much more stronger. The knowledge of who he really is. So bhakti people should not worry that I am taking them away from a path they were so comfortable and happily settled in with. No, actually realizing this will strengthen their own bhakti. Ramakrishna didn't give up on Mother Kali. When Totapuri made him do all kinds of this thing, Mother Kali only sent Ramakrishna. When Totapuri came to their garden, one day Ramakrishna was going and he felt attracted to this man and wanted to know, because he went and learned all kinds of things from everybody. When he went there, the Totapuri said, to come, I will give you Diksha. He said, I have to ask my mother and come. And he went and asked the mother. Mother in her own way responded that you go and learn. And he learned. And what happened? He told them that no, just don't keep believing in mother. You stop thinking of mother as a name and form. You think of Brahman. And Ramakrishna found it very difficult. The moment he'll close his eyes, he'll burst into that ecstatic thing. And Totapuri will say, no, you're still in the lower floors. Fine, your Ma is there, I know, the subtle Ma is there, you can see that Ma, she talks to you, all this fine, but you have not understood. Come on, let's try. Again he'll close his eyes, Ma, he'll start shouting. Then Totapuri got irritated. He took one piece of glass and cut it on the forehead of Sri Ramakrishna, saying, focus on this. Don't focus on Ma. Next time if Ma comes, you cut that image of Ma into two pieces, he said, so that it goes away from your mind. So he said, how can I do that? So he said, no, that because you are deluded, you are still sticking to the idea that Kalika or the mother is a form. And that is what is keeping you here. You have to rise beyond that. He said, how do I do? He said, take a sword and cut that into two. He said, where do I get a sword from? From the same mind which created the mother will create the sword, he said. The mind that created the mother will also create the sword to get rid of that. That's very powerful. That's very powerful of Totapuri to say that. Next time it so happened that when again he had the darshan of Ma, he created a sword in his mind thinking that I must cut this image into two. I don't want this image to destroy. And he cut it. And immediately that vanished. And then he had the Brahmajnana. After that, when he came out of the Samadhi, he came out with a double conviction in Mother. He didn't give up worshipping Mother. He came with a better understanding of who Mother is. In fact, Totapuri had to take a lesson from Ramakrishna after this, saying that how bhakti is not against or opposite or in principle, some kind of, it's not refuting jnana. It's actually, jnana will only make your bhakti so much more stronger. So Totapuri finally says, I want to come and see your Ma. So he brings him to the mandir and then he explains, Ramakrishna explains, whether a snake is coiled or a snake is moving, both are snakes only. So Brahman as a steady or Brahman as the moving, both are Brahman only. Know that. He teaches. And he comes back and tells, my mother is in everything. She only is Brahman. As Brahman, she is everywhere, including in me. So his faith, his understanding of his mother, from just a deity to Brahmaswarupini, matures because of his tapas. The idea is that this only will help you understand the nature of Satya Sai better. Otherwise, you will be stuck with some Baba or some incarnation of one Shirdi Baba. That is a double layer of complication. Or further, somebody sent me a message. You were Shiva Shakti, Shiva incarnation in Shirdi Baba, then Shiva Shakti incarnation. What is the incarnation going on now? Are you Shiva Shakti? Are you now Shakti? Are you, I took a Ramana Maharshi method, don't reply. What to reply? You're still stuck. I am teaching here Brahman. Are you going back and asking me again the same questions? I don't want to reply to that question. Brahma Swarupa is whoever is. Shiva Shakti, all these are later details. The originality of it is what? To focus on that. Which incarnation of which God? See, they're so interested in these frills, periphery. They're not interested in getting into the core, like those flies that keep hovering around the juice without wanting to dive into it. Same plight of half the people. very excited about these forms and names, and then keep on praising the form and name. It's kind. That's also a bhakti. Guna Mahatmya Asakti, they say that called. That is a bhakti kind. But what my bhakti you should think of is not just at Guna Mahatmya, puja, or smarana, or dasya, sakhya. No, that not. Your bhakti should be para tanmaya bhakti. There tanmaya asakti they call it. You become one with it. Till there you should not stop. Completely merge in God. And how will you know that? Only when you have known the truth of your avatar, truth of that God or goddess. That how is Brahma Swarupa. Oh, then your bhakti will become much stronger. Your respect, your love, your devotion, the intensity of your surrender, everything will go notches above because of this jnana. Means if you have experienced this much of that ananda, brahmananda, and this much of that feeling of freedom, and then you can imagine what Satya Sai would have been like. In physically moving also, what must have been going on? Then you will be so stunned. It's like some child discovering after growing up that my father only is the president of the country. Till then he thought my father is a horse in home, who washes dishes when my mother is angry, cleans the house. But suddenly he realizes as he grows up, no, my father is actually the president of the country. Because as a child he never realized. So what will happen? His devotion for his father will grow or become less? His respect and faith. Naturally it will grow. Oh, my father only is the president of the country. I didn't even know. I thought he's just a husband at home, father. Oh, he's the president. Look at the revelation. That revelation will make it much, much stronger. Your bonding with your own God, Guru, whatever you follow. That's why in all possible ways, all possibilities, all possible ways, this knowledge of Brahman is so important. Even to Bhakta it is important. Even to Karma Yogi it is important. To Jnana Yogi is important. To Raja Yogis it is important. To any yogi, on any path, this ultimately will only strengthen their, or it will further make their faith in whatever path they are taking even better. So therefore there is no conflict, and you should not think like this also. That's why I gave you simple formula. Satya Sai is Brahman. Don't say like that. Say Brahman is Satya Sai. Then things are going to get much clearer in your head. But you keep associating with form and then trying to superimpose it on the idea of Brahman, there will be confusion. You rather take the idea of Brahman and then you limit it into a form and name. That is easier. But because you are used to a form and name, so it is so difficult for you to, that is why Krishna said, no, Bhakti Yoga, it is so difficult to, between those who worship Saguna and Nirguna path is difficult, he says. Because we are Saguna. But now its time has come. How long this Saguna will go on? How long should we dance around that same form and name? And only worry about those attributes and live in the past glory and remember when will we rise to become equal, to become that? So that we really know who that personality is. What is that phenomenon? Otherwise, nobody knows it. Nobody knows it. That is why you have to put effort. So that also is a motivation. If as a bhakta you feel you should do it, that also is a motivation because your devotion to your own God will become so much stronger and unshakable. See, I don't want to hear these stories, students losing faith in Swami or some devotee turning away because some unpleasant, some unfavorable things have happened, or because they've fallen into the company of atheists and people who don't believe in such higher things. It means we are all, that danger lies with us. That is why Yama says, Prabhava, Apyayo, both are possible for this yogi. Don't be too sure that you will always be there. It's possible that your yoga might go up in good circumstances and go down in some other circumstances. Your bhakti can also shake. Why? Because you have based your bhakti on a temporary, transient name and form. Obviously, anything which is built, nahi dhruvam adhruvam. So he says, from adhruva, which is temporary, how can you attain something permanent? From a temporary name and form, how can you attain permanent bhakti? Therefore, this shaking happens. But if you know the dhruva, the truth behind that form and name, no way the bhakti can be shaken. Like Ramakrishna's bhakti became even more intense, and he realized that, yes, Brahman is true, but my mother only is Brahman. That Brahman only became my mother. Oh, look at his joy then. Now with double enthusiasm, he is now singing the songs. Because he realized both are one. Otherwise he was thinking maybe my Ma is lower and the Brahman is higher, or maybe Maya is higher, Brahman. Nothing, he realized they are same. And that realization made him become even more excited about being with his mother. So Advaita Jnana is so important. Advaita Darshanam Jnanam. Dvaita Darshanam is never said as Jnanam. Advaita Darshanam is Jnanam. So through bhakti you retain Advaita, through Jnana you attain Advaita, through karma you attain Advaita, whatever be the path, that is Jnanam. So that is why you must even intensify your efforts. Because this will help you in every possible way. As an individual you will become better, as a staff, volunteer or teacher, whoever you are, worker, karma yogi, you become better. Bhakti yogi, you become better. Your devotion for Swami and your faith in him will be unshakable. Far better than most of the other devotees who know him from, they may claim 60 years, I know I was eating with Swami, sleeping with Swami, moving. Much better with the faith of those who actually realize who Swami's what is Swami's true nature, who he really is. So that is going to help you a lot in all possible ways. That is why also you should practice Brahman and keep away from those who don't believe this idea. The Nastikas, the Na Asti Iti. Stay away, because they are still children. Don't have to look down upon them. Consider them as Yama says, Balam. They are children, and let us not argue with children. When they grow up, they will know. With that feeling, you should continue efforts.